And I know you guys have some personal experiences with maybe some laser-related safety things, especially you, Jimmy. Maybe something that had to do with or without your face at some point or another. Can you just tell us about the time that you kissed the laser really quick?
Yeah,
so that we know what not to do.
I was trying to make sure I was getting a good alignment and everything, so it was running. I stuck my head in there too far to skid me across the face. Right underneath my eye.
It's a very, very close
Good thing it
call.
didn't catch your eye.
Yeah, I know, but it was like,
Good.
I said, okay, I'm not supposed to do that. That hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe rule number 1, don't stick your head inside of an active laser engraving machine would be like a good place to start. Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to another episode of the Laser Source Podcast, the #1 podcast if you're looking to grow or scale your laser business. I'm a still photo today because I threw out my back after moving all of that crap up the stairs in our house. And I don't know, man, I learned a hard lesson today about being 100% not invulnerable, which, I was fairly certain of in my 20s, and I'm questioning it now. So I'm actually lying on the floor. I don't have any of the lights on. I'm not doing anything special. So I threw up a still. So you didn't have to look at my sad ass on the floor. But we have a interesting topic today. Kyle is here. What's up, Kyle?
What up? How's everybody?
And Jimmy. How's it going, Jimmy?
What's up, guys?
And of course, Boyce rolling in.
I'm just loving the Jimmy look, guys. I'm just loving the look.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And Jimmy, you seem to be healing well.
I'm doing better, yep. No more pain pills.
Kind of more like back to your normal self. You were a little loopy there for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I like Jimmy on drugs.
I don't think I like Jimmy on drugs.
Yeah.
Got the rhyme going with it, though.
Guys, I was talking to Miranda earlier today, and essentially she's writing an employee handbook for us, right? Like things that we need to do and follow to make sure that we're being like good employees. And one of the things that she tasked me with was writing a list of laser safety protocols that we would include. So these are like very high standards, right? Just to kind of set the scene here. Very high standards. Everything that we would expect from our employees as far as being safe around and with their equipment and machines. And I just thought that, we didn't really have something planned for tonight's episode. I thought tonight would be a really great opportunity to kind of brainstorm what we would include in that section of the handbook, since you guys are the ones that would have to be following it, and doing that live, at least as a brainstorming session, would be beneficial to the community as well. It seemed like a perfect fit for the podcast. And I know you guys have some personal experiences with maybe some laser-related safety things, especially you, Jimmy. Maybe something that had to do with or without your face at some point or another.
Matt, how you doing, Matt?
Hey, Matt's here. Matt's joining us as well. What's up, Matt?
Not much, but I think my internet is whacked right now.
Oh, that's so good. Well, hopefully you get that sorted. When you do, we're talking about laser safety protocols, just so you know. So I just wanted to kind of take this opportunity to chat about that with you guys. I thought that this would be a good time to do it. So you guys on board with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe Jimmy, you could get us started off here.
I was trying to avoid it, and I was trying. Hey, Matt, he just shoved it right back in there.
There is no avoiding it, Jimmy.
But it's coming out, man. So what? Can you just tell us about the time that you kissed the laser really quick?
Yeah.
So that we know what not to do.
I was trying to make sure I was getting a good alignment and everything, so it was running. I stuck my head in there too far to skid me across the face. Right underneath my eye.
It's a very, very close
Good thing it
call.
didn't catch your eye.
Yeah, I know, but it was like,
good.
I said, okay, I'm not supposed to do that. That hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe rule number 1, don't stick your head inside of an active laser engraving machine would be like a good place to start.
That's fair.
But serious, actually, you know what, Kyle, could you kind of be like our note taker, so when we actually do add a rule to the list, we could I want to be able to reference it later if you don't mind.
I would love to.
All right, thank you, sir. So
Miranda says Alex is my worst employee.
Yeah, it's true. Who knows? I'm probably the worst at all of you. I don't know. Maybe Jimmy. It's hard to tell sometimes. So, I think first off, right, the most obvious one, wear your laser safety glasses, goggles, whatever you have. If you're working with a class 4 laser, I would say. So a class 4 laser, just so we're clear, is defined as a laser that will fire unshielded. So if the laser is out in the open and you can make it go, and it's of sufficient wattage, and all of these are, because we're talking about laser marking machines, so they're capable of marking material, it's considered a class 4 laser. So when using a class 4 laser, make sure you're wearing your eye protection at all times, right? Not just when the laser's going, but like when it's powered on. I would say make sure you have your eye protection on at all times. Remember, we're setting high standards here, right? This is for the employee handbook, so we want to make sure that we're kind of being excessive with our rules a little bit. What do you guys think about that? Any thoughts?
I think that's valid, because at the end of the day, if there's like a wiring issue or it's set to, fire on the wrong port and you have something screwed up in software, it could just start marking the second you key it on.
Yeah, in fact, once Jimmy was over at the shop and he was using the UV laser. You remember this, Jimmy? And you
Actually, no. Actually, this happened 3 times before to Miranda, and Miranda yelled at him because he never ground the machine.
But Miranda's not on the podcast. And
I know, but I'm just making sure it's not just Jimmy.
I checked later and it was grounded, and it hasn't happened since I moved it home. But Jimmy touched the fucking work table, and there was a static electric shock from the work table to his hand, and it triggered the laser to fire.
Whoa.
Yeah. So weird stuff can happen, guys. Weird stuff can happen. Luckily, Jimmy had his safety glasses on at the time because he was being babysat very closely.
Yeah.
But, especially with the UV, guys, you want to be extra careful. But with all of your lasers, make sure
you okay,
that
Matt?
you are wearing your safety glasses. Jack in the shop says, Jimmy, you shot me with the laser.
See, even Miranda says Jimmy's right. See?
Yeah. What else? Laser safety.
Whoa, here we go.
If there are other people around you, they should also have eye safety on if your laser is in use.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd say be aware of your environment at all times. Be aware of your laser marking environment. If there are people also in that environment besides you, especially people that aren't professionals, they need to be wearing protective equipment as well. Make sure that people in the area while you're working on your lasers are aware of the risks of being in the room while you're working with the lasers. Would also be important. Is that kind of where you're going with that, Kyle?
Hell yeah.
Yep. Hey, Chris. Chris is here now too.
Mr. Chris.
Hello.
So just to catch you up, Chris, Miranda asked me to write a section of the employee handbook going over laser safety protocols. So these would be super high standard, important laser safety rules that employees of the company would have to follow. And we're just kind of brainstorming that list right now. So far we have the obvious ones. Jimmy stuck his head in front of the laser and almost blasted his eyes. And then, so we said, don't stick your head in front of the laser. Always wear your eye protection. And the third one that we just came up with is be aware of other people in the laser engraving environment and make sure they're wearing eye protection and understand the dangers of laser marking before they are in the room. J-Max here. J-Max says, you only get one pair, guys. So true. Yeah. You only get one pair of eyes. And Miranda's chiming in here via chat. She says, does someone want to explain why eye protection is important? A lot of people express doubt that they could cause any lasting damage. Kyle, I like
Yeah.
the way you explain this one, dude. Can you take that?
Yeah, man. So you only get two eyes, and it's not like the lasers. I mean, the laser is technically ablating and throwing material everywhere, but that's not really the major concern there. The major concern is the wavelength of light that it's shooting across the room when it reflects off of the metal that you're engraving, or the wood, or the whatever you're hitting the laser with.
When you're doing a coin, man, you really see it when you're doing a coin.
It happens with diodes, it happens with UV, it happens with fiber, it happens with CO2. It doesn't matter what type of laser you're engraving with, there's always a chance for a reflection off the material. And essentially, you're not causing damage by, throwing something at your eye usually. It's the wavelength of light that causes damage to the material of your eye, either at the surface or further into the eye, like at the nerves that pick up the light that come into your eye. And that's what generally causes you to go blind when you get hit in the eye with a laser.
Yeah. But I think one thing that people don't understand is that they use lasers all the time and they never wear their eye protection and they can still see, thus they are not blind and it doesn't damage your eyes, right? And that's that's like a logical fallacy. You're not kind of connecting the dots here. You
can take splash damage, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like in a video game, in a first person shooter, the guy next to you gets hit with an RPG and you get splash damage, right?
Right.
Well, you get splash damage, you can bounce the wavelength off of the walls and the stuff around you, and it can cause damage over time to your eye.
Right. The slow
hit.
burn, right?
Yes.
The slow burn. It kind of accumulates over time.
If you've ever been in the room with a fiber laser and you didn't wear your glasses, even looking away from it, over an extended period of time, you might find that your eyes feel sore.
Mm-hmm.
That is slow burn damage.
Yeah. If you don't believe us, guys, take a webcam. Webcams usually aren't filtered against infrared light, and point it at the wall and use your laser. It will light up the whole room, and you can see it on a webcam. And the room looks completely dark to you because your eyes aren't designed to see infrared, but the webcam can, and it shows up on the webcam. It lights the whole room up. It's very dangerous over time. And then the other one is the fast burn, right? So we work with a lot of materials that are extremely reflective, and all it takes is one ray, right? One beam to hit at a certain angle or a certain particle in between the laser and the material at the right time in the right place with the right wattage, and that direct reflection can burn or scar your retina or your cornea depending on the laser wavelength. I forget. You can look online. There are charts and graphs that explain which lasers damage which parts of the eye. But basically, depending on the wavelength, you're gonna burn or scar a certain layer of your optical path. So some lasers make it further into your eye than others, but they all result in vision damage, and it's happened.
I put it in terms that people really understand a little more now because of this exposure of the concussion protocols, right? A concussion doesn't really do any immediate damage outside of acuteness, is the dizziness, but over a long time, you don't think much of it. But if you get like 100 concussions, you're going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
It's the same premise. You can't keep damaging a vital organ as your eyeball. It's like micro tears in a muscle. It's your frame. Like you keep nicking at a rope, eventually that thing's going to pop.
Right.
So you just can't keep doing micro tears of a fibrous cord, then expect it to keep doing its job. It's just not going to do it. It's just, if we can't convince people with basic logic, it's kind of a lost cause too, because Jesus, it can't get much more straightforward. Don't point lasers at your eyeballs.
Well, and let's face it too, if you have a business and you take out insurance on your business and yourself, if you insure yourself, if they find out that you went blind and you weren't wearing eye protection, they're not going to cover you because you weren't following basic protocols to protect yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly why we're adding this page to the employee handbook, right?
Shout out new member.
Hey, Stephen P.
Steven.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thanks for being there, man.
And while we're on the top or off the topic, I just wanted to throw this out there. Logic Geek had a request off topic. Can we get a fiber maintenance and upkeep video on the channel soon, like swapping out a failed mirror power supply or other part that wears out over time? So I've got you covered on the power supplies, Logic Geek. So you can check out I think it's called like fiber laser power supply testing or something like that. It's the first video that comes up when you search for it. And it's a full rundown on how to do basic testing of your power supplies, look for big failures, and make replacements if needed. So we definitely cover that. Mirrors, I don't think I would recommend replacing a mirror because the galvo head electronics and motors are very sensitive, and it's really difficult, and I'm not an expert on it. I usually tell people, and usually what, the correct path forward from there would be to replace the galvo head, right? So you would just replace the entire galvo head and get a new unit. They're expensive, but they're not that expensive. A couple $100.
2D ones are fine. 3D ones can be crazy.
Sure. And then other parts that wear out over time. I mean, those are really it. It's your power supplies and your galvo laser, or excuse me, your galvo scan head. Those are the two parts that you're really going to have to replace at even like a rarely to regularly, kind of time period. You may eventually someday, like years down the road, if you have a good piece of equipment, need to replace your laser source itself, which is very simple. It's a power supply swap and a serial cable into your controller. And we're going to kind of be going over that too when we do our fiber laser build project, right? So I essentially, I think this has kind of been a very long answer to your short question, as I love to do, but we could do a video about swapping out the galvo head at some point. In fact, we have one for the CO2 galvo now that would be semi-relevant, but we could certainly do one for the fiber as well. But you really shouldn't have to replace any other parts behind that. They're honestly, once you get outside the laser source, they're not that complicated of machines.
Well, maybe even like replacing the tower if you want a bigger tower for a 300 millimeter lens, stuff like that we could do.
Yeah, definitely.
Or like with my machine, I've had a couple of problems where it's not, what's it called? It says temperature alarm. And what it is just a bad connection between the certain plug-in. So I have to like take it the framing off of it, unplug it, and replug it in. It kind of helps establish it. For some reason, that's just a bug in mine. We can do some little basic stuff like that for troubleshooting problems we see regularly.
At some point when I'm probably going to be opening up my the first galvo laser I got is the Wisely. I'll probably be opening that up in a couple of months and doing just a clean out. I could probably do a time lapse and show people that too.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I would say in terms of like failures, that would cover it. Just, don't drop a ton of crap in it if you can help it. Don't leave it on the floor if you can help it, because it'll suck up less dust off the floor. Yeah. You can put it up on like a milk crate or a box.
Yep.
On the shelf underneath your desk, something like that. It'll suck up less.
I see Richie Boo's here. What's up, Richie? He's asking, did you guys get the monthly CO2 laser maintenance? There's definitely some stuff to cover there too, and that's something that I think we'll be looking at, especially when Kyle starts his build project, because Kyle's going to be starting a CO2 laser build based on the Light Object DIY kit that we will be putting together. And when he gets into that, I'm sure that's going to be part of that, won't it, Kyle?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. That'll definitely be something we're going to be talking about.
And just to catch some of you guys up, there's a lot more people here now than there were, but I am a static image. Kyle says it's a back injury. That makes it sound a little extreme. I just threw it when I was moving stuff up to the home studio. I'm okay. I'd just rather not bend over my monitors at this point, so I'm laying down. But there's that. And then the topic of today's podcast, laser safety protocols. Miranda asked me to write the laser safety protocol section of the employee handbook. So we're just kind of brainstorming some ideas, some things that we want to be aware of and that we want to make sure our employees are following, as far as like just minimizing risk, right? So so far on that list, we had don't stick your head in front of the laser. We had where do we go from there, Kyle?
Eye protection.
Laser safety glasses and
Yep.
or enclosure situation.
And
Yep.
shielding from people in the room.
Yep.
What about like input power, like a surge protector, in case in case of lightning or whatever, like you can get power surges, depending on your electric.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that I would probably make the argument that while it's a great suggestion, that would be more for the safety of the machine rather than the
person.
We want to protect you.
the person.
So,
Don't laser and drink whiskey. Some good advice.
not having the laser on the same level of your eye, so use a table that's slightly lower than eye level could be a good suggestion. Enclose it if you can, I think, is another typical one. I think some lasers are easier to do that or are already enclosed, like the CO2.
Yeah.
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 I got a question about that because with my laser, I could actually have a 3-sided enclosure where I can't have direct sight of the laser itself, which would probably be ideal. Is there a way to? Well, it's just not that hard to build anything around that, honestly. Well, never mind. That seems pretty simple. 3 pieces.
I have an idea for you. So I don't know how bad the popping is when I'm talking because I'm on the earphones again. But the biggest thing that helped me when I was first getting going was just having a checklist of everything I should do. Like, for example, turning on the chiller, right? Because that can blow up your laser power source and everything. The tube can have a bad day. Having the air on, making sure you know what air pressure is appropriate for what you're doing. Because if you're cutting acrylic or if you're engraving acrylic, it's almost like a little flow chart, right? And then the other thing too is, do I have everything turned on and like getting like proper little things, in order. So that way, when you sit down to laser, it's ready and you don't have to worry about it. And as silly as that sounds, like I literally had a checklist that I hand wrote and it was just like doop, 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 doop. And it's almost like, people who fly jets and stuff like that have checklists. So it's not like we're Air Force pilots here, but at the same time, you're operating machines that can hurt you, that can burn your house down. If somebody isn't, or you try to let them do a job for you or work for you, just need
Minimizing distractions is important.
Yeah. And also just, I don't know how many times I've come out here and I've just been distracted, like you said. And then on top of that, just tired. Like I'm exhausted right now. I'm trying to do stuff. Had a little fire earlier that just kind of popped up because of the plastic, because I had the air on my air compressor just kind of dropped down without me noticing it. And, who knows why, maybe it vibrated and the little thing turned down, like the little O-ring didn't keep it where it's supposed to be. So I had to go back over and crank it up. And it was just a little flare up, but it was enough for me to catch my eye and be like, oh shit. And I had to go back and, crank it right to where it needed to be. So stuff like that.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's a really good suggestion. We should probably have like a laser safety checklist, and then we can have a rule that says follow the laser safety checklist before operating your machine, and it'd be basic things like, is your fire suppressant available? Are your safety glasses on? Do you have good air pressure if required? And then, something like that. We can workshop that later. But that's a really good suggestion. And then the other one, I would absolutely, I would definitely say, do not leave your laser unattended, right? That would be, and again, we're talking high standard employee handbook here, guys. I just don't, you know what I mean? Like absolutely, you need to be present, around your machine when in operation at all times. You know what I mean? If you need to get up and go take a piss, pause it. Every laser can be paused now. We're in the day and age where all of our machines can be paused, not just Ruby to controlled ones. What?
Thank God for Lightburn.
Yeah, thank God for Lightburn.
We can pause a job on the Galvos and
I can't.
not have repercussions for it.
Yeah. And boys, actually you can in your F3 param menu, if you go into the other section, there is an option that you can toggle to pause your laser jobs. And essentially what that will do is when you hit escape, like you were going to cancel a job, instead of canceling, it will pull up a resume menu and it will pause the job until
Oh, stop marking port. Is that it?
No, it'll be in the other side. I can help you find it later.
Gotcha.
I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but
Yeah.
there is an option in there. So then when you hit escape, instead of just stopping the job, it will pull up a resume prompt, and then you can resume or cancel the job, which is really nice. So I will definitely show you how to do that later. But be around your machine when it's being used. I think is a big one, because that will deal with the fire issue, right? We've all seen those pictures of rooms burnt out from CO2 fires that have gotten out of control. We've seen them on the Discord. We've seen them on the Facebook.
That's scary.
They're devastating.
I received another one from somebody a couple weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, when they go up, they go up.
Yeah.
And it's just not, especially because it's full of just like tinderbox material.
It's got fuel, it's got heat, and it has great ventilation.
Yeah.
Recipe for a raging fire.
And the problem too is if you don't run over and smack the emergency stop, then it's just gonna keep going until the job is done. So that's the problem. And by the way, one of our Twitch users, did you see? We got Twitch users on. Whoop, whoop.
Oh yeah.
But he said that it's a procedure list, is what that's called, the fancy term.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing too is that I think would be really great, not just for an employee handbook, actually. Something that I've been actually thinking about making for myself is like a daily, weekly, and maybe monthly or quarterly checklist of stuff to kind of make checks on. So like lenses should be changed daily to every other day.
Yeah.
The next thing should be like your air hoses should be checked. Check the gaskets on
Jack
stuff.
in the box says he's done nothing to his for 3 years. I'm like, wow.
It's time for a cleaning, man.
Yeah.
Well, you might just
Grease
buy
the
them for a
rails.
bucket cleaning.
Grease the rails. Grease the rails. Definitely grease the
Yeah,
rails.
and that's what I'm
Give
saying.
the
Like,
bottom a good
quarterly
vacuuming.
stuff,
Yeah.
checking belts,
The
little stuff like
Yeah.
that is huge.
Yeah.
Something that I thought about implementing, you can get these like little LEDs that change color with like a phone app or something like that. And with Rhiannon walking in to the room when I'm like running a job, she doesn't have safety glasses on. So, like you can have something on the outside of a room with the door closed, little LED light, turn it red when the laser's actively firing, yellow when means like knock. I might be starting a job soon or something like that, and then a green is all clear.
Yeah.
That's a good call. We should get
Kinda
you to
like
make
a-
safety signs.
Like an on air
Right.
thing, but for lasers. Yeah.
The laser dark room.
That'd be cool. I wish those were on Etsy. That's something I would buy. Jimmy, get on it.
Sign idea.
That's
Fine
the-
idea, dude.
There's a business.
Get it to switch between red and green. Red for laser firing and green for all clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can do that.
That would be
Okay.
cool. Like a black
can do
box,
that.
and lasers are always lit up in yellow, and then it can say clear in green or on in red, and it swaps between the two.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. Something like that with a switch.
Yeah.
Would be really rocking.
Yeah.
But so that's a pretty solid list. I feel kind of
We're missing
tempted-
one though. Ventilation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have to talk about ventilation too. That's we'll talk about that even before my stupid last thing. You have to use appropriate ventilation. This is kind of like the slow burn we were talking about earlier.
Yep. To the lungs.
You huff some burnt paint once or some aluminum dust one time, and you walk away from it, and you're like, "This is safe." But you do it for 3 years, and you have COPD. You know what I mean? It's dangerous. The things that we mark and engrave often give off toxic fumes, dust, heavy metal particles, a whole range of just nasty things. And that's
fatal.
that's just besides the smoke, right? I mean, just even straight up smoke is bad for your lungs, but then you fill that with a bunch of like noxic gases and organic vapors and just a whole bunch of really gnarly stuff. Exhaust, guys, ventilation, something. Make sure you're using, I would say, either required, right? Absolutely required, either a 3-stage filter system, like extraction system, or some certain level, maybe like at least 200 or 300 CFM, ventilation system to vent outdoors. Would be absolutely a requirement to be used at all times, because that adds up, man. That's one of those things that you were saying, nicking at the rope, boys, right?
Yeah. The lungs, though, man. Like you said, COPD, and then there's it's almost like the popcorn lung thing that was going on with kids with vaping when it was unregulated, and
Yep.
They have miner's lung too. If your lungs take in like zinc or copper or any of that stuff,
black lung.
I forget what it's called, but
I think it's called black lung.
Not good.
Once
iron.
Yeah. Once, especially those heavy metals go in to the lungs.
Yeah,
they don't come out. They are heavy metals, right? And we're talking about really, really small particles. It's not like someone's going to go in and scrub them out of your lungs for you.
Standing on your head ain't going to help.
They're permanent residents. It's
what if you
really
have a magnet?
Serious. I would say
is copper magnetic?
I know, right?
Don't
you
be
go
a
to your
dick,
next
Kyle.
MRI and they just rip through your chest. Like Alien.
Fatality.
Yeah.
By the way,
it's not good, guys.
Just gonna say sorry for everybody. I have a hurricane that's still going on, kinda. So I'm trying to get there. Speaking of
Dude,
fatality,
We appreciate you hanging out.
You look and sound great now, and of course we appreciate having you here, Matt. So,
you're still fantastic.
So
you're always fantastic.
we got a good one in chat here.
Okay, yeah.
So Mike says, can you take it a step further and wire the door to your shop to an interrupt switch?
I mean, yeah, sure. Especially on EasyCAD, right? We have the door I/O switch. I suppose Ruida,
that would make it almost a class 2. I forget the classification.
Yeah, it wouldn't be quite a class 1, but it'd be close. It'd be a class 1, but you'd be inside the door.
In it. Yeah. Which I mean that's kind of a no-no, but
yeah, but you certainly could. Yeah, you could absolutely. Both Ruida controllers and EasyCAD controllers have a door in out, like just high pulse port that you can wire up to whenever a switch is closed and that current is sent through to the switch. It will automatically shut the machine down, which would be very annoying if your mom is banging on your door telling you to come down and get dinner every 5 minutes.
your wife is pissed off coming in.
Well, also the whole kid thing,
Yeah. Well, and one thing too that I was gonna say I saw in another group that was really cool was someone was using a grow tent from what's the inline duct fans that everybody uses? That I have one and I'm brain farting.
I just installed one.
AC Infinity. Yeah.
Yep.
Infinity,
So
yeah.
AC Infinity makes like grow tents, and this dude literally took a grow tent and he turned it sideways so that there was the Velcro door or like the zippered door that opens, as he used it as a panel. So whenever he was putting stuff in, he would open it and put things underneath his diode because he had a diode that was huge. And then it already has ventilation ports all over it that can close and be fixed close.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you could port it however you need to. It's got 4 different port locations.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool as hell, man.
Chris,
the only feedback I would have on that is make sure it's not vinyl. So if you accidentally melt it,
Yeah.
like the part that the laser is sitting on.
Oh, well, he had it. So that part he had like on concrete, like he had it on the floor, I guess. I don't know, something.
Okay.
Or maybe it was steel, but yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just whatever is in the laser path, if it accidentally goes past whatever you're cutting.
Wait a second. Let me write that down real quick. Don't melt grow house.
Chris, you're still venting out an open window, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing to remember, guys, too, and Chris already knows this. I'm not telling Chris. I'm telling you, the listener. One thing to remember, too, is if you're venting out just like an open door or an open window, like a huge amount of that is just going to blow right back in the door or window. So make sure that you're sealing that off. Duct tape is a miracle. You have a laser, especially if you have a CO2 laser. If you don't, get like a jigsaw or something and just cut a hole in a piece of wood or acrylic, stick your vent out that and duct tape it shut. You know what I mean? That it works perfect. I took the glass panes out of the garage door in my very first shop. I took the screen out of the window in our second shop. And then we were lucky enough to have like an outbound ventilation shaft in the new studio. Yeah, and even here at the home studio, I did the same exact thing. Jimmy cut me a piece of acrylic. We took the measurements. We cut a hole, and it's just sealed with duct tape, and it vents outside, and it can't come back in. You know, they have those reverse flow valves.
Backdraft.
The backdraft
protection.
protection,
Or a
exactly.
blast shield if you're someone who does CNC.
Which is also great if you live up north.
Yeah,
Or you have
totally.
critters.
I have a quick, easy fix too. So, like in Florida here with the HOA, like I'm always the guy who has the HOA. I know, but anyways, like I took a hammer drill and I punched through the cinder block on the garage to the base, to the front facing part of the house, and then literally just got a dryer vent because it has flaps that close. And it also has I took this piece of screen from keep critters out, and I took another piece of screen and kind of turned it 90 degrees so that it's really difficult to get something in there. And literally I've got a centrifugal fan from the CO2, put a Y pipe so that I could have an inline fan and I put a blast trap in front of the CO2. So it's like the butterfly wing, I think it's called. Yeah. Basically, so one way, just like you said. And I think all in all total, it cost me $100 for the tubing and the AC Infinity, and then to punch a hole, I mean, it's nothing, some epoxy, and you pop it on there.
Yeah. Jimmy had me use silicone, which is amazing because it's got a little flex to it too. So when it's windy, it bends without breaking. It's not so rigid. So it's got a little flex, but it still maintains that seal, and it's watertight, which is great.
Yeah.
What was the thing you were telling me about, Jimmy, when we were installing this too, about the wind? You wanting it to point a certain direction, you remember?
Well, you want it to point a certain direction so the wind isn't blowing into there, because all you're going to do is just create, even though like mine, the way I got mine's on the opposite side of where the wind comes. Mm-hmm. And during the winter, I always know, because it's not sucking as good as it normally does. Right. And I'm like, what the hell's the problem? Well, I found out. I went upstairs. I unhooked the inlet hose to the fan. And even though it's got that flapper valve on it, you still get condensation. Right. So all the condensation and that dust, it creates like paste. Mm-hmm. So I told my girlfriend to go outside, tell me how much comes out. And I turned the fan on wide open with a whole air hose, and I just blew it. She goes, oh my God, my truck was solid white because the truck was right underneath the vent. Yeah. But so you got to make sure you do that at least once during the winter time anyways, because if you don't, then it'll start, it won't suck as well. And you're like, man, what the heck's going on? And
gets clogged up.
And once you do that, boom, it's just like back to normal again.
Especially where at the very end where it terminates, right? Like right where it's coming out of the house.
Well, because it's actually in the fan and in that last part that goes outside.
Yeah.
But it's actually in the fan. The fan is caked.
This is something too that I think I've heard both Matt and Jimmy talk about. But is it advantageous to vent higher up to try to get more disbursement of the fume? Because the fumes are heavy, right? If you exhaust them low, you're more likely to have a problem if you have close neighbors or something like that. So is it actually advantageous to go up with the exhaust rather than just straight out?
I would go as high as I possibly can, just because if there's going to be a problem and they smell it and it's up high, guess what? There's sure to hell is going to be a problem if it's down low and they smell it.
Yeah.
So my answer to that is, by that duct that I have, I actually turned it sideways so that it blew away from my one neighbor.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so as dumb as it sounds, the one thing that does though is gravity keeps the flap shut on one of those, so you have to be careful of that. That's why I put the two 90 degree, going against each other to kind of block anything that could get in. But I also have I put another blast shield right on the exit. So basically anything that was trying to get in, it's going to have a real tough time. And if it really wants to get in that bad, then I'm going to have a new friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you get those little downspout downturns, like 90
that's what it
elbows?
does. Yeah. So basically it's a 90. And then because it's turned that way, it really, what's nice about it is my one neighbor is 15 feet that way. and the other one is like 90 feet that way. So if I shoot it this way with the wind dispersal and it's low to the ground, but the other option I was gonna do is actually shoot it straight up and have it go run down the fascia of my house, and then exhaust right dead center in the middle of my house where nobody would really be bothered.
We got Snaff here in chat saying, in saying this, a lot of the wood stuff iLaser smells awesome. Yeah, I'm sure your neighbors are all well and good until you toss a piece of acrylic in there, right?
Yeah, put some hockey pucks in there.
Oh, the hockey pucks.
Put some hockey pucks in there.
A little bit of leather.
Make a friend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who's burning cats?
So for the handbook, we got keep any laser in use and associated exhausts up to recommended maintenance standards and fully operational.
Beautifully written, Kyle. Beautifully written. Do you see how Miranda tells me to do something and then I get Kyle to do it? This is perfect.
He's good at
Teamwork.
that. He's good at that. Whenever something goes wrong, look what you did when he did it. He's great at
Kyle is very well written, actually. I use Kyle to draft a lot of things that I write because he is much more the wordsmith than I am.
Alex's response: tell that guy die in a fire. Kyle's response: while we appreciate the attempt of you to
Yeah, it's very true. Jack says delegation. I'm okay with that term. I like that term, delegation.
Kyle, Kyle, you're the 3-layer filter. You're of Alex.
So, this is kind of a dumb one, a little bit, but I'm lying on the floor right now again for those who have missed it because I threw out my back lifting a bunch of lasers. So I don't know how I would write this in like a handbook, but respect the weight of this equipment, and make sure it's on like a sturdy surface.
Team lift requirement for weights above 50 pounds.
Yeah, team lift requirement. That's a good one. And then once it's where it's going, like that needs to be solid, right? Like don't put your CO2 laser on top of your aquarium or whatever. They're heavy. When Jimmy and I were uncrating the Mira.
We don't want to talk about that.
Wait a minute, don't put a Ranger on top of a folding card table?
Jimmy put the Mira on top of me because I was trying to. I was up on the table.
Hey, guys, listen. Okay, listen. They got cameras going 24/7 in that place. Get Miranda to find that feed. Miranda, there's your job. I want you to find that feed. And we're going to go live. We're going to show you exactly what happened. Miranda, you will laugh your ass off, okay?
Miranda hadn't had the cameras installed yet. I was holding the corner of it. We had half of the Mira up on the table and half of it on the ground. I was in charge of the table end of it, and Jimmy was in charge of the ground end of it. And he lifted it up over me and then let it go. And I was stuck under there. And it was like right. I had
What happened was the corner that was on the table, because of the angle, started sliding. So he got up in between the middle, and he got pinched in the middle. And I'm just standing there going, "What the fuck you want me to do now? This thing weighs a lot. I can't pick it up." I'm laughing. He's laughing. I'm going.
We should make a new hat for Jimmy that says, "Do you even lift, bro?"
Do you even lift, bro?
He goes. He's laughing. He goes, dude, it's on top of me. I said, I know, and I can't do nothing about it.
So Jimmy's screaming is going to turn into Kyle's answer, which is like, make sure when lifting heavy equipment to work as a team and successfully communicate.
I got this.
Yeah.
Team lift is required for any movement of objects above 50 pounds. Always use OSHA recommended lift technique.
Broke back laser over here. Jesus Christ.
It was kind of like in like comedies, when something almost hits someone directly in the nuts, but like doesn't, like a sword or a dagger. Like my legs were split over the corner of the table, and the Mira landed right on the corner. So I was like looking down, like, oh my god, my balls! I almost lost my balls.
Can you imagine? By the way,
he wasn't even yelling; he was laughing the whole time.
What a great like paperwork though to like get a copy of that paperwork at the hospital. Left nut exploded due to laser injury. Get that shit framed.
Oh man. Jack says do stretches before work. Yeah, maybe some.
How about both? Just stretch before both.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
All right. Well, that's a good solid safety right up there.
Bringing it
Kyle.
back to serious there.
That. What else? What bizarre things could happen with lasers that your employer would not be happy occurred? Do we have anything in there about
keep any combustibles away from the laser?
That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah.
Clean up. Clean up.
So true. Especially like it's easy when you're working with like liquids, but like gases can be combustible as well, and things fume a lot.
Yeah.
You know, especially like a lot of oils and finishes for wood. Like linseed oil is one where the fumes from linseed oil are like gasoline fumes. You know, you don't want those coming in contact with a laser. So that's a good one. That's a very, very good one. And then some kind of like fire retardant requirement, right? Either a CO2 or chemical extinguisher requirement.
I always wear. I wear a rain suit that's fire retardant whenever I laser. Always.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, but look at voices like this.
Photos or it didn't happen, dude. Photos or it didn't happen.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
Matt's like in the suit they wear when they go down into the volcano to take like recordings.
Matt says, "Say less." I'm on it.
I got this. Hold on. Actually, this Laser Everything merchandise is fire retardant.
Oh, that would be such a cool idea. Like laser-proof, fire-proof, laser everything merch. That'd be sick.
Safety merch, man.
The apron. You got the apron that's got this old laser on it.
So I have keep any combustibles, liquid or gas especially, in a safety cabinet and away from a functional laser. And fire safety is important. Always have a plan and materials required to deal with fire extinguisher or fire blanket.
Nice. Very, very, very good.
Fire escape plan.
Fire escape plan. Plan C.
Identify exits.
Snaff is back with another good comment. One thing I have noticed using my Rakis fiber laser, the remote for the air conditioner will not work while it's running. Shows you how much reflected infrared laser is in the room, which is totally true. It even here in the home studio, I was trying to use the remote for the TV the other day, and it wouldn't go because it's jammed. Essentially, you jam the signal from the remote control with the flooding of infrared radiation in the room from the laser. So that was a great one. Jack's recommending weekly safety calls. I don't know what that would encompass, but it sounds like a good suggestion. And then he followed that up with a big thing at Pike Electric where I work. Knives cannot have sharp tips. So that's great. Like
just
because
the tip though.
You don't want to poke something like the whole knife. Yeah.
Were people using them as screwdrivers?
Gretch Zeppelin says, also keep piranhas away from those freaking lasers.
My guess would be from falling.
Sharks.
Like my guess would be the tip thing. Literally though, is just from falling or like dropping it. You try to catch it. As stupid as it sounds, it pierces.
Mm-hmm.
But I could literally see a phone call here. It would be the six of us right now. So Alex, safety call question.
Yeah.
Did Jimmy try to crush you with a laser this week?
No, not this week.
Okay, let me check that off. Okay. Boyce, have you been drinking around lasers again?
Not yet.
Whoa.
Chris,
Took a
around
dark turn.
And then it's like, Matt would just be like, where's your fucking fire retardant clothes? Oh, God. I got nothing. That's all I got.
Shots
God
fired.
damn. Shots
Not
fired for real.
But not drink. Shots.
What kind of shots? Yeah,
Pete, shots fired.
Boyce, are we going
I love boys.
Boyce, are we going to Peach 8 tonight on E-Stop?
Well, I do have something.
Nice.
What's it called? Bird Dog whiskey.
Have you guys
Bird
noticed what's been
dog.
sitting here this whole time?
Is that the peach?
Nice.
Yeah, it's the peach.
Nice. We're going to have a good night tonight.
I have a drink counter, and it's not going above 2. I'll tell you that.
Okay. You also are not.
said the last time.
You also are not currently pre-gaming, which is good.
Yeah, I have a limit switch now.
Yeah.
It's a safety limit switch on.
Yeah, he's got the door I/O port, right?
Yikes.
Brutal.
Whatever. That was a blast, man.
Any recommendations for a 50-watt Rakis enclosure?
I will be doing a build on a custom one at some point, and you can make it fit any laser you want.
DIY? You going to pick up some of those no IR laser shields for a window?
I'm considering it. We'll see.
I'd love to see how
There-
that,
it's
the company
pricey,
will pay
dude.
for it.
How much is one of those shields? Like one sheet?
like a 12 by 12 is like
$150
$150
per square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if let me see if I can get it on camera. My plan is to put an enclosure around this entire table.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fiber galvo table enclosure, all three of them, and then each of them will have their own exhaust.
We
Sean,
got to have access doors in front of each of them too, then, huh?
It's going to have a massive exhaust door that's going to fold away flat against the wall.
I have
Actually,
a question. Can you
No, I'm talking
laser
about
cut those?
huh?
Can you laser cut those shields? I wonder. I doubt it.
I do not know.
I don't know.
Because I was thinking it'd be really cool if you could literally like laser holes in them so that you could put the little flaps, like Boyce said, to have like an access port. It'd be cool.
I don't know.
But I wonder how.
I imagine it opening like a folding garage door, where it like folds
Oh,
up
yeah.
into itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it makes more sense to make an access door and just build the shield into the door itself, so you can like
Right.
open,
Yeah.
put shit,
Now-
and close it.
now
all
that-
door
Thinking
itself
like
as
this
the
kind of
shield.
door. Oh, that's a good idea.
That said, the manufacturer of most lasers will usually offer some type of enclosure system. CloudRay also has an enclosure that you can buy. Just
That's
make
another
sure it's designed to fit yours, because some of them are designed for left side tower versus right side. I don't know which. I haven't looked at CloudRays in a while.
Yeah.
So if you need one and you don't want to build it yourself, talk to whoever you got your laser from.
Sean's asking for a time frame on your enclosure project, Kyle.
That will probably happen maybe quarter one. Quarter four is like the worst
Wait,
time.
done.
For
Yeah, we're
projects.
done. We're full up already.
It's probably going to happen like maybe January or February, depending
Yay,
on when we start the
commercialism.
DIY build on the CO2.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's important to me. I want to get that done. So
All right,
What, do you want to see stuff and things?
we are at 51 minutes. Kyle, can you give us just a readout on our final list here,
I would love to.
and then we'll see if the crew has any final suggestions, anything we've missed, anything we haven't covered.
So we got no heads in the path of the laser. Laser safety glasses and enclosure are important. So everybody has to wear them or use an enclosure. And it should be an all-sided enclosure. Minimize distractions. Ensure proper operation and pre-flight checklist for each laser is followed to avoid distractions and issues.
Nice.
There is no excuse to leave a machine while running. Pause the job. Laser safety sign to make sure others are aware that the laser is in use. Exhaust or multi-stage extraction required for any indoor laser use. Keep any laser in use and associated exhaust up to recommended maintenance standards and fully operational. I concur.
That's number 9.
Team lift is required for any movement of objects above 50 pounds. Always use OSHA recommended lift technique. Keep any combustibles, liquid or gas especially, in a safety cabinet and away from any functional laser. Fire safety is important. Always have a plan and materials required to deal with fire extinguisher, or blanket. You're responsible for your work environment and fire safety of your own space.
Blackjack says these are borderline abusively personal.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what makes me proud? Mine's the first rule.
Yeah. It
I'm
sure
number
is.
one.
You're
I'm
the
number
only
one.
one. You're the only
Okay.
one of us.
I'm
who's
number
stuck
one.
his head.
Here's the golden rule about safety standards and warnings. There is a
They're
story
there
behind
because-
every
yeah.
one of them.
That's right.
Not all of them are us. Somebody else might have been the reason for them, but
That's
the
like
first one is Jimmy.
That's
Literally.
Yeah.
That's like with paintballs. It says do not eat these or ingest these. And I've literally had a friend of mine shoot me in the mouth while I was talking. It ricocheted off the ground and went into my mouth, and I swallowed the entire fucking thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exploded everywhere. I was like, whoa, and like just paintball. And like my friend was like, you okay? And I was like, yes. It was
I
good.
remember some girl when I was in middle school, like had a glow stick broken in her mouth,
Oh no.
and like there was an ambulance. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, the ones back then were terribly poisonous.
I just threw up, and then like we kept playing paintball because we used to play in the woods. So
Your vomit glowed.
I used to play paintball too. It was a good time.
Chris, you've been suspiciously quiet this episode. Have you not had any laser accidents yet?
No, I'm perfectly responsive.
Literally, I think he just realized who the fuck he's been hanging out with for the past like month.
Yeah.
It's like these fucking idiots.
No, I'm just I'm super burnt out today, so
No.
I'm
Oh, that's another
observing
one.
and I've up.
How's
Take
Brock,
care of
dude?
yourself.
How's Brock? Where's Brock at?
He's sleeping, hopefully.
Chris, do you want to plug Brock's Instagram real quick?
Oh yeah, sure. I need to look up what it is.
Who's Brock? Your dog?
He's my
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah,
He's my-
it's
How
dog.
dare you,
Brock,
boys?
Brock
How
is his
dare you?
adorable pooch.
Brock has
It's-
been on a couple episodes now, and they've all been episodes you haven't been present for, boys.
That's how it goes.
It's-
Out, he's adorable.
Brock.the.bulldog.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
Go-
right. You have a bulldog.
What
Go
about
follow
Brock
Brock.
Rocks? Brock Rocks.
Call him Brock Star sometimes. The Brockster.
Sure. Brutal.
Broccoli. We have a few little nicknames going for him now, but he's good. Hopefully he's sleeping. We took him on a hefty walk before this.
Yeah, you gotta wear him down before you sit to do anything.
You do. You gotta make
Yeah.
him all sleepy. It's
For
pretty
sure.
easy to make him sleepy, but
All right, so we've heard the full list of laser safety protocols. We're liable to add more
Oh, we'll probably add more.
as we go. In fact, that'll probably be the final one. Laser safety protocol may be added to this list at any time, and it's your responsibility to keep up to date with the current list of laser safety protocols. Would probably
Yeah,
be a
one
smart one.
One more. What about certificate of insurance? Like have insurance for your each individual shop. Is that something?
Okay.
I mean, we are.
Jeez, she got a new cell phone, and good God Almighty, it's like a kid in a candy store.
Oh
Good
yeah,
Lord.
a little iPhone.
I know how to figure this out. Oh, good. Go in the house.
Certificate of insurance might be a good idea for the listener.
People coming into your shop. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So
The last
the
rule
thought.
for tonight: only you can prevent laser forest fires.
There you go.
I like it. Nailed it.
All right, this is enough of that, everybody. Listen, we are ending the show right now, but we will be going over to record Emergency Stop. If you haven't already heard it, it's an awesome new podcast where the six of us hang out and talk about things that aren't lasers. If you haven't already listened to it, you can find it over at emergencystop.net. It's freaking hilarious. And I actually have some good material tonight. I'm really excited about it. If you don't think that it doesn't include insults of Jimmy, you're wrong. There are plenty. It's a really, really good show. Go listen to
I
the
wouldn't
first two
show up
episodes.
if it wasn't.
Go listen to the first two episodes, guys. It's a great show. Again, you can find that over at emergencystop.net. And this third episode here should be out soon. We skipped last week because I was moving the home studio. I wanted to skip this week because now I'm injured, but I feel like being stuck on my stomach on the floor is probably a good time to record that show. So we're going to go do that. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Laser Source podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash the like button. Let everybody else know the content is good. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time we upload a video. If you are listening, please rate and review on the Apple podcast thing, whatever they do over there in Apple land. I'm not a Mac user. I don't know.
Give us
Apple
the 5
Podcast, guys, 5 stars, 5 stars. You don't have to leave a review. Instead, write me a very short fan fiction about how Jimmy was injured by a laser. You can come up with whatever you want, literally any different method of execution or injury involving Jimmy and a laser beam. I would love to read it.
It may result in more rules being made. Yeah.
If anybody actually writes one, I will read it on next week's episode. I'm going to
I actually have a song title.
Right
Jimmy
before we
got
go
run over
live.
by a ranger.
Jimmy. That's good. That's good.
Almost.
And I think that's all I've got, guys. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Laser Source Podcast, and we will see you in the next one.